Are you planning to go to Luanda, Angola? Then stick around for some fun things you can do there. Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you some more fun things to do in Luanda. I created a video right here with fun things to do in Luanda, and I came up with some more, so I thought I'll just do a part 2. And I wanted to release this video today because it's Heroes Day in Angola, and I thought that would be a great tribute to talk about all the fun things you can do in Luanda, part 2. And to make it extra special today, a lot of the things on this list are actually things that are also historic. So I have a few museums listed, and I think that's really great for a day like today on Heroes Day. So if you are planning on moving to Luanda, be sure to stick around for this whole video because there's some great things on this list of things you should do for fun. And also, I have lived in Luanda for 3.5 years, and I created an activity list with over 40 things that you have to do when you live in Luanda or if you're just visiting. So definitely go below. There's a link where you can download the list today. And if you're ready to get into the video, go below, give me a thumbs up, let me know you're ready, and let's get into the list. The first thing on our list today is the Fortaleza de São Miguel. And the Fortaleza is an old fort that was built by the Portuguese in 1634. And it's on a very large hill in Luanda, so you have great views overlooking the city and the Bay of Luanda. And you can definitely see why the Portuguese built it there because you have a great view of any enemies that could be coming via the sea or via land. And I highly recommend going to the Fortaleza. I personally went, I think at least 3, maybe 4 times when I lived in Luanda. So if you have just a spare hour or 2 hours, it's a great place to go and walk around and just get some really good history from Luanda and also when the Portuguese were there as well. And outside throughout the fort, there's going to be lots of military gear for you to go around and look at, as well as Angolan statues of prominent figures in the past. And some of the military gear includes cannons, there's going to be airplanes, there's going to be helicopters and tanks to look at. So it's a great place to actually bring your kids as well. And if you don't speak Portuguese, don't worry because all of the museum placards are in Portuguese and English as well. So you can definitely still enjoy and still learn a lot through all the exhibits they have at the Fortaleza. The next place we're going to talk about that you can go for fun in Luanda is Miradouro da Lua. And I hope I said that right. My Portuguese isn't as strong, but it basically means Valley of the Moon. And you can tell why it gets that name because when you look down onto the landscape, it kind of looks like a lunar landscape. But the Valley of the Moon is a beautiful rock formation that is about 20 miles south of Luanda City, I would say. And it's right along the Atlantic coast. And there's an awesome place. You'll see a sign for it if you're driving south from Luanda. It's off to your right side. And you can just pull over. There's a circular drive where everyone parks their cars and you just get out there and just enjoy the view. So if you have some binoculars, take your binoculars with you. If you have a nice camera, I would say take your camera with you as well. You can get a lot of close-up shots of the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, and also the actual Valley of the Moon. It's really, really gorgeous. And for a little extra fun, there are monkeys that are always playing, so you can also maybe get a close-up shot of them as well. Personally, I probably went to Valley of the Moon probably 4 or 5 times while I lived in Angola. It's definitely a great pit stop if you're going south of the city and you're going to go to Kisama National Park, or if you're going to play a round of golf, or if you're going to Cabaledo for a day at the beach. Also, you can stop on your way home back to Luanda, but it's a great pit stop to just kind of stretch your legs a little bit, maybe take some photos, enjoy the scenery, and then you get back in your car and head back to your destination. The next place you can go for some fun in Luanda is going to be the Art Market Artesanato. The Benfica Market is actually one of the best places in Luanda to find wooden carvings. So I actually got this one of Angola at Benfica Market, and then the Thinking Man back here, I got him at Benfica Market as well. We got a very large giraffe there. We had so many things that we bought there. We would also go with friends, and I had friends that bought numerous African masks or giraffes or elephants, those types of things. They make so much there, nativity scenes, small nativity scenes, and it's a really great place to get not only wood carvings for yourself, but also maybe for your friends and family back home. They make excellent gifts. So Benfica Market is essentially an outdoor pavilion, and it is covered. And when you get there, you'll find rows and rows of tables lined up where vendors come to display their handicrafts. Another thing to note about Benfica Market is the price that they give you first, or the price that's actually on the item that you're looking to buy, is not going to be the final price. Like most other countries in the world, haggling and kind of negotiating back and forth is definitely a thing there. So be sure you actually negotiate for the piece that you're going to purchase. Don't just take the first price at face value. You can, but normally haggling is expected and most people do negotiate back and forth. All right, that brings us to the fourth thing on our list, and that's going to be Museu Nacional de Escravatura. And that is Portuguese for the Slave Museum. And again, that's probably how you'll hear it amongst the expat community, is as the Slave Museum. And unfortunately, throughout history, there were many, many thousands, hundreds of thousands Angolans that were taken from Angola and shipped abroad to become slaves. And the area where the Slave Museum is located is known as kind of where those soon-to-be slaves were put on a boat and taken away. So there's a lot of history in this location. When you're there, you can kind of look out at the ocean and just kind of imagine, unfortunately, these Angolans that were taken, them looking back on the ship, they're looking back at the Angolan coastline and realizing they'll never see Angola again. It can be a very, very emotional trip. So maybe it doesn't belong on a fun list, but I think it is good. It's a good place to go and get some more Angolan history and learn a little bit more about their culture and their history, especially as it pertains to becoming slaves for other countries. So I highly, highly recommend going to the Slave Museum. It's very small. It'll probably take you longer to drive out there than to actually tour the actual museum. But the museum is in a small house, and that is said to be where the slaves were actually bought and sold by the owners. So in that museum, there's lots of artifacts from that time period that you can look at. Again, it's in English and Portuguese there, so you can really soak up the history. And then again, when you're outside, you can just kind of look on the coastline and just imagine, huge slave boats there just loading Angolans on, and it really can be emotional, but I'd still recommend. I think it's a good place to go and get some Angolan history. All right, for this fifth one, we're going to take it back into Luanda City, and we're going to talk about the Marginal. And the Marginal is an awesome place to get some exercise, walk around. If you have been following this channel, then you know that I am an avid jogger, my husband and I. And we would go to the Marginal usually on the weekend, so either Saturday or Sunday, when it was a little bit quieter and we didn't have to go into work. We would head down to the Marginal and do our long run. And what it is there's a pathway that is probably about, I think, 3 miles. And since I've left, I know they've extended it into the Chicala neighborhood, so it's probably a lot longer now. But we would just do that pathway back and forth for our long run, and it's great. There's tons of people running and walking and rollerblading and learning how to ride bikes. So there's always something to do on the Marginal. And there's also some great restaurants sprinkled along the way as well. I'm pretty sure that they're adding some more. But one of my favorites was Art Burger, and I'll leave a link in the description box below. So definitely check it out. They had great burgers, and they also have a really good vegetarian burger as well. So if you're looking for a place to maybe get some exercise outdoors and looking for a more expansive area, then Marginal is definitely going to be where you want to head. And the last place I'm going to talk about today to go for fun in Luanda is going to be another memorial/museum type place, and that's going to be Memorial Agostinho Neto. This memorial and museum is dedicated to Agostinho Neto, who is the first president after colonization, and it's quite commanding, and you cannot miss it if you're in the Chicala area. The memorial is very tall, and again, you won't miss it. The entire property is about 5,000 square miles, and it's usually used for large political events such as presidential swear-ins. One day when I lived in Luanda, I was downtown and I needed to pick my husband up in about 2 hours from work, and I didn't want to go all the way back south where we lived. So my driver and I went into the memorial for Agostinho Neto, and it took about an hour and a half to walk around the entire memorial. We had a guide with us that spoke English, which was amazing. But again, the placards were in Portuguese and English, and the museum was very, very extensive and talked a lot about his history and his family, his part in the war against colonization, and kind of what he did after that as president. So it's a really great museum and memorial to head to spend a few hours, again, to learn a little bit more about Angolan history of the place that you are living in or visiting. All right, friends, if you have watched the first video and now this whole video, you now see that there are so many fun things to do to keep you busy in Angola. And again, a lot of the things on this list are more museum type places where you can really get a feel for the history and the culture of Angola. So I highly recommend going to all of these places when you visit or live in Luanda. All right, friends, I'll see you next week for another expat related video. Bye.